I hope you guys share this video with lots of people. Hi everybody, Nutnfancy coming out with what I feel is another important philosophical, perhaps instructional video about how to deal with mass murderers. Maybe you see my other video, the sheepdog concept, which incidentally and just by sheer coincidence, I posted about one day prior to the shooting and the mass murder on Fort Hood, Texas, by that freak Nidal Malik Hassan. I'm not going to talk about him. What I'm going to talk about is how to handle people like him, because it will probably happen in the future. In my video, the sheepdog concept, I talk about the sheepdog heart. Talk about those individuals that are brave and selfless and willing to engage mass shooters like this to save lives. Not just about mass shootings, but also natural disasters or man-made disasters where they are willing to step in, put their own lives, everything they have on the line to save their fellow human beings. I hope we create more sheepdogs. As you can see, the world is in dire need of them. But this video isn't really about that. What it is about are the unlock codes to activate your engaging a mass shooter or a mass murderer of any kind. And again, like I said in the sheepdog concept video, this can get brutal. Okay, it can get bloody. It is very serious. First and foremost, though, I don't want to come across as a massive expert on this, nor is this meant to be a legal advice video. That's up to you. You know, every jurisdiction has its laws which will govern the things which I'm going to talk about. It's up to you to decide whether you're going to keep those laws or not. And if you decide to be a conscientious objector against those laws in order to fulfill your sheepdog role, then so be it. You know, I think that's a personal decision you have to go with, and I think you could save lives by making that decision. The fact is, the laws do not support the sheepdog, at least the civilian sheepdog, generally speaking. There are a lot of free fire zones created in the United States of America. Currently, as of 2009, there probably will be more as time goes on, where the civilian sheepdog is not allowed to carry his or her gun for whatever reason. I don't want to go into that. What I want to go into and provide direct and very frank and poignant advice is what you do if you are in the presence of an individual that decides for whatever reason to engage in mass murder and you're there. Okay? Now, if you are a sheepdog, I like to think there is a series of unlock codes within your judgment process. Okay? If I'm a concealed carry permit holder, and I'll talk more about this in future videos, there needs to accompany with that carriage of weapon a great sense of maturity, a great sense of judgment on when and if you're going to use that weapon. Okay, unlock codes. In my mind, I think of a series of events. Is this happening? If it is, then I go to this level. Okay, is this happening? Okay, I go to this level. You know, and some of the things and the thought processes that could accompany that unlocking of the weapon, so to speak, are, is there a way I can flee from the incident, the situation? Can I get out of this situation without employing deadly force? The courts will hold you to that. I'll talk again more about this later. Is there a way I can de-escalate it? Do I have the time to de-escalate it so I do not have to employ lethal force? A sheepdog is a kind person. Okay, they do not look to injure other people. Their whole purpose in life is to save lives. They do not look to injure a bad guy either. That's not their purpose. They're not out there to exact revenge. They are out there to stop what is happening, to intervene, and to save lives. That is the sheepdog's creed. That's what he or she will do. But when we're talking about the use of a weapon, let's say this one, the CAR PM9 from a concealed carry permit holder, you will go through a series of unlock codes in your mind. You know, can I get out of the incident? Can I get out of the situation? Do I have time to defuse it? Is there another way I can tackle the shooter or use non-lethal means to disable him? When we are talking about a mass shooter who has determined that they will die in the process of the mass shooting, the chances are that you going through these unlock codes is going to be very rapid. Okay? You're going to quickly ascertain you do not have time to defuse it with non-lethal means. You do not have time to talk him or her out of it. Why? Because they're already engaged in a mass shooting. They are killing people and you happen to be there. Okay? So the best situation, this is the first one I want to address, is you do have your concealed carry permit. Your concealed carry weapon on you. Again, in the example, we're going to say a Car PM9. It could be any gun you want. Thank heavens that, like I said in my obligation of carry video, you adhere to high percentage of carry. And yes, indeed, it kicks off right in front of you and you're prepared with this and your weapon is unlocked because of what you see. Close to engage. Close to engage. Okay? That's what I say. Now, there will be a lot of discussion in the comments about this. You know, when do I engage? How? You know, there's a lot of legal ramifications. Let me make it simple for you guys. And again, this is my philosophy. This is my opinion. It's not legal advice. But there is a sense of good in society still to this day. Had a soldier on Fort Hood had an illegal weapon on him or her, and they withdrew that weapon and they killed this dude, Malik Hassan, how do you think the public would have reacted to him? Let's say it's a guy. Let's say it's a, soldier. Do you think they would have hailed him as a hero or as a criminal? Okay, that's a rhetorical question. Of course, as a hero. You know, he may have gotten his hand slapped for having on the post an illegal weapon, and probably had to go through some administrative punishment for that. But in saving lives and making the right decision and acting as a sheepdog, he would have been a hero. I think that scenario will play out when we are talking about a mass shooting, okay? Or someone who's going to engage in a means by whatever weapon, could be a gun, could be a bomb, could be a vehicle, and we intervene to save lives. I think you will see society back you up 100%. Because people still in their hearts know what is right. Remember in my video, The Sheepdog Concept, I talked about the heart of the sheepdog. A compelling desire for them to aid their fellow human beings that are in trouble by whatever means they have on them. Again, like Lenny Skutnik, it might be jumping into an icy river to save someone. It might be a law enforcement officer intervening to kill the bad guy, just like in the case of the Fort Hood shooting. And remember, guys, I said that you cannot tell a sheepdog by their external appearance. And man, no sooner had I said that when we have such a perfect example, again, with the Fort Hood shooting, where it was the intervention of a very diminutive female SWAT officer that ended the murdering. And that was by Kimberly D. Munley, if my information is correct. And she belongs, again, according to the information I have now, subject to change, to the SWAT team for the Civilian Police Department on Fort Hood, I guess. Awesome, though. Awesome. And very quickly, Officer Munley went through her unlock codes as she saw this dude, Nidal Malik Hassan, engaging in his mass murdering. And she unlocked her weapon and she engaged. And that's a concept I want to promote with you dudes, my sheepdogs. You have to engage. Okay? We're going to go through our series of unlock codes. Are we seeing the situation correctly? Okay? You've got to make sure you are. Is your judgment sound? Okay? Yes, people are dying. Yes, that guy's dead. That guy's dead. Time to engage. Okay? I talked a lot about in the Sheepdog Concept video about the kindness and the empathy that a sheepdog has for his fellow human being. But in this video, I want to concentrate on the warrior aspect of the sheepdog. Okay? When it is time to step it up and rock and roll, you've got to do it. Okay? Close to engage. And that's what I'm going to call this video. Close to engage. Don't run away from the gunfire. Run towards the gunfire. Okay? You will separate the sheepdogs from the sheep by that action alone. The sheep will always run. The sheepdogs will run towards the gunfire. I've seen it personally in my own life. Okay, I've seen it. What did Officer Munley do? She ran towards the gunfire. What a super stud she is. She engaged what was called the active shooter protocol. That's training she had. I'm not really sure what that is, but I can surmise that it means close the distance so you are within the WEZ or weapon engagement zone of what you have on you that day. If it's a Car PM9, I want to close to a distance where my weapon and my own training and my own skill level with that weapon is going to be effective. You will shoot to stop that individual's actions. If that means shoot to kill, then shoot to kill. Again, it could be bloody, it could be gross, it could be terrifying. You got to do what you got to do. Sheepdogs, you know that. You have to close. Again, if a soldier had done that, it probably would have saved, 10 lives if someone had been on there. The DoD policy of having no weapons on base from concealed carry permit holders is just, it's a travesty. And we again see that it killed people that day. Shame, shame, shame. Write your congressman. Tell them that this is evil. It's wrong. That NCOs and officers should be allowed to carry their guns legally on base according to their own personally held CCWs. Again, that's another subject. But close to engage. Now, if for whatever reason you did not bring your gun with you on base, okay? I'm saying base, anywhere, in the library, on the school campus, and you have chosen to abide by the the laws that create these gun-free zones, which I think are killing fields myself, okay, so be it. You don't have a gun that day. But you're still a sheepdog. And if you are in the presence of a mass murderer like this guy, I still want you to close to engage. Okay, and let's go down the force continuum, something I talked about last year, and I still feel strongly about it. Perhaps you don't have your gun, but maybe you have another weapon on you, concealed, that you can use to save lives. And that's what I want you to do. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. Close to engage. Okay? The weapon engagement zone for this knife, the Cold Steel Espada, is going to be close. Okay? It's quite possible as I close to engage to use this, I might get hurt myself. Shot, killed. Sucks, I guess, huh? Close to engage. And if you're not alone, if there's several sheepdog doing it at one time, rock and roll. The guy is going to be overwhelmed. There is no way he can reload fast enough. There's no way he can shoot all of you. Some will get killed, some will get wounded, but I guarantee you that guy is getting taken out. Okay, in my blade reviews, I've been doing knife reviews well over a year now. In several of them, I have talked about emergency tactical use of that blade. When I say that, that is exactly what I have in mind. This scenario, where you are using it in a manner to save lives. And it is an edged weapon, and edged weapons are extremely effective when they're used with purpose and skill. You got to be close. Okay? It's going to be brutal. It's going to be bloody, but we are saving lives. And it is a tool in the toolkit of the sheepdog. Okay? And it doesn't have to be something mean as nasty, and I'll tell you, absolutely effective as a Cold Steel Espada. It could be something much smaller. Maybe a Benchmade 890 Torrent is what you have on you that day. Could it be effective in roll? Oh yeah, it could. Has a shorter weapon engagement zone. You got to come up to it, close with that guy, and make it happen. And there's certain ways you can employ that against the throat, against the head area, that will very quickly incapacitate that shooter, and he will cease what he is doing. Close to engage. What if you have other things on you? Pepper spray. You could utilize that, but it's a non-lethal alternative. And again, as we go through our judgment process, is that the best thing to employ to stop him doing what he's doing? It's a hard question to answer. But in my mind, when they've already elevated it to lethal, I kind of think you need to respond in kind in order to stop the carnage. And that's all we're trying to do as a sheepdog, is stop the carnage and save lives. But to do so, we're going to be warriors doing it. Maybe you have a fixed blade on you that day. It doesn't even have to be expensive. Cold Steel Roach Belly, previously reviewed in the Nutnfancy project. Inexpensive, extremely deadly, I can guarantee you. Close up and close quarters combat. I can guarantee you it would be. Couple swipes from a blade, edged weapon against a bad guy. I don't mean to be brutal, but we need to address these things honestly and frankly. I told you that. But if you did that, it would end the shooting. It would save lives. Maybe you have an Aspeton on you. Employed properly, this is a lethal weapon. Shoulder up hits, coming up from behind the shooter, whacking him right upside the head multiple times, with your ass police baton, maybe that cam lock baton that I showed you from Officer Jared, freaking deadly. Okay? End the carnage. Sheepdogs, I hope you go out of your door every day prepared to some level. You know, I really hope that you have a gun on you. If you don't have a gun, have a knife. If you don't have a knife, have pepper spray. If you don't have pepper spray, you know, have a baton. If you don't have anything, you still have something, and it's your most important weapon. Okay, and you may be in an environment, and this is another important point of this video that I want you to tell your friends and to show to everybody. And that weapon is your heart, your courage. Okay, Flight 93 United. Those guys didn't have a lot of weapons, did they? Okay, granted, they brought the plane down, they died in the process, but they prevented that aircraft from being used as a weapon to hundreds of other people, possibly thousands, on the ground. They saved lives, sacrificing their own, but they did it. Okay? Again, the sheepdog doesn't look inwardly, he looks outwardly. How can I prevent this? Okay, I was in a shooter's course one time, taking a course, and the instructor asked this question: what would you guys do if a guy with an MP5 jumped in this classroom right now and opened fire on all of us? Okay, this is before we had our weapons loaded up and anything, and you know, we all just kind of sat there and looked, and you know, I was thinking, charge him. And that's what the instructor said. It's like, yes, charge him. Okay? So even if you're unarmed, you can overwhelm a shooter just by tackling the guy. Okay? If you're alone and doing this, you know, try to come up from behind him. Try to come up from a flank. But charge him. You may get shot. You may get killed in the process. But you are doing the best you can to save lives. I would hope that everybody would do this, and I want to spread this word. If there is a mass shooter, you have no weapons on you, you still have your body, and if there's, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, a dozen people charging that individual, there is no way he is going to be able to engage in his activities. He's going to be overwhelmed and probably beat to death. You know, nowadays, if a hijacker were to stand up in today's aircraft and say, you know what, I'm taking out this plane, with everybody knowing what they know, I would like to think that passengers back there would say, it ain't happening again, and all the sheepdogs in that aircraft are going to stand up and overwhelm that individual. If, with nothing else, bodies, okay, your heart, your courage, charge the shooter, close to engage with whatever weapon you have on you. The advantage of being prepared is it increases your weapon engagement zone. Okay, if you have no weapon, your weapon engagement zone is going to be hand-to-hand combat without weapons. And there's all manner of techniques and things you can do with that. Okay, and some of us officers and military types, we train in those. Okay, and they're effective, and I recommend you do as well. But if you can add to your arsenal, so to speak, other weapons to save lives, your capabilities are increased. Okay, your weapon engagement zone enlarges, and you have more of a capability to put an end to the killing, to put an end to the carnage. So don't run away, close to engage. Okay, I'm sick of hearing these mass shootings. That's the whole reason, not the whole reason, one of the main reasons I put out the sheepdog concept video, is to put out there a philosophy and an understanding of who these good and select and few, I repeat, few good people are that go out and save lives. Officer Kimberly D. Munley, 5'4", female police officer, was a sheepdog. She charged a shooter with her duty weapon after she went through her own unlock codes, which, by the way, happened very quickly, most likely due to her training, and she put an end to the carnage. You know, 12 people died, a lot more got wounded. It could have been worse had we not had a sheepdog there that day. Okay, good feelings don't put an end to these incidences. Laws don't put an end to them. They mean nothing. Okay, what puts an end to it? Lethal force. Okay, the gun stops a gun. If you don't have a gun, it might be the day the knife stops the gun. You with me? Okay, is it brutal? Yeah, it's brutal. But your purposes are just, your purposes are righteous, and they are serving to protect the greater good, and that is your fellow human being. This video is intended for sheepdogs, not sheep. Okay, my sheepdog brethren and sisters, they know what I'm talking about. go out prepared. If you decide to, go out prepared contrary to your local laws, then I salute you for that. Because what you're doing is making a judgment call to help your fellow human beings. I think in the end, you will be exonerated, okay, if you were to engage on this level. And again, I'm talking about a mass shooter, a mass murderer, not personal one-on-one conflicts. That's kind of a whole separate instance, very similar, but we're talking about people who are willing to kill dozens, if not hundreds of people for whatever reason. And honestly, I don't care what the reason is. I don't care what the motive of this Nidal Malik Hassan was. Was he in a terrorist cell? Was he, miffed because he was going to deploy to Iraq? I don't care. All I care is that he decided that day to go kill innocent people. Okay? That he took it upon himself to become a mass murderer. Don't care what it was. Ideally we could sit him down, strap him down, and engage in, all kinds of therapy trying to get in his head and fix him. But when the guy has a gun in his hand, or multiple guns in this case, you don't have that luxury. The time has passed. If you don't intervene soundly and with a combat mindset, he's going to do what he's going to do. I would have loved it had he shot maybe one round. Actually, I would have loved it had he never got a round off, but he was intervened by a soldier carrying his own concealed gun and just waste the guy. That's what I want to see in future news events, is I want to see our sheepdogs, our ranks enlarging, and I want to see prevention of these mass shootings in the future with the items that I showed you. If you have no items, then you still have hand-to-hand combat, bro. Okay? You still got bravery, your heart. Do it. Charge the shooter and close to engage. This is Nutnfancy. My intent is to save lives, to protect good, to protect that which is worth protecting. Don't depend on the government to do it for you. It doesn't work. Okay? Free fire zones are killing fields. It is up to you as a conscientious sheepdog to make the right decision and to save lives. I wish you luck in this mission. This is not an extremist message. This is a message that is real and designed to prevent the loss of life in the future. Thanks. Nutnfancy signing off.